Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Wednesday evening, May 1, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the days been like here recently. Also feel free to ask any other related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can see that we still have the ridges of high pressure across the northern portion of North Atlantic that are responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. And we also have numerous troughs still plaguing, especially the northern Caribbean right here. And if we actually take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can see the clouds associated with these troughs still plaguing sections of the Greater Antilles, the Southern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos right here, with some amount of clouds, showers, and thunderstorm activities. And we can see it all even better on the infrared satellite images right here that show the high cold cloud tops being blown out towards the east, the blues, the greens, the yellows, oranges, reds, not to mention the whites within those reds that depict lightning flashes, if not lightning strikes. Definitely bring some thunderstorm activity as we speak to sections of Haiti, sections of the Dominican Republic, and even sections of eastern Cuba. We will be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean's weather later on. Let us focus our attention on what was predicted in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Wednesday, May 1. It was stated that we would have received some morning rainfall across sections of some eastern parishes, then affecting sections of some central and western parishes during Wednesday afternoon. And just for your information, we know eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, so Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. Central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, so St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine. While western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, so St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, and Trelawney. And what ended up happening? We actually saw that we had the clouds coming into sections of some southern parishes during the morning hours. They were on their way, so definitely affected sections of eastern parishes first, then spilled into sections of some central and western parishes. We saw a post that was made here at 11:10 a.m. highlighting the Cuban Doppler radar images, and we know that we have to be using the Cuban Doppler radar because the Jamaican Doppler radar has been done for the longest now. So we see the greens, not to mention the yellows, that represent light to moderate to even some heavy rainfall that affected sections of the island at that time. And we had confirmation of this rainfall from some of our followers, and we're going to be reading those comments shortly, but we're still going to be looking at the posts. Another post was made here at 3:45 p.m. highlighting the clouds definitely bring overcast skies sections of most parishes, if not bring some isolated showers or thunderstorm activity to sections of those parishes as well. That post was made at 3:45 p.m. Keep in mind that it was also made on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica, on our Instagram page at weather.jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that are not made here on our YouTube platform. So the comments are as follows. We had String 71 stating raining heavily on the northeast, and we had Mingla Blingy stating in Mobe rain been falling all day. Then we had Wiz Pelpa stating cats and dogs finally in Kingston, and we even had Chelsea confirming the rainfall in Ocho Rios, raining like crazy. In Ocho Rios, she even sent a nice video showcasing what was happening in her area. We saw the heavy rain, the strong winds out her window. so that indeed confirms the rainfall there. Even on our Facebook page, we had some of the comments coming in with the confirmation of the rainfall. Fiona Dowdy, raining here in St. Elizabeth. Latoya Taylor, same here where I live. Shawnee Reynolds, here come the rain storm for outside white. Donna McFadden stating, nice rain in the grill. Even on our Instagram page, we had the comments coming in. Romeo _ Somerville stating rain in the airport area. Princess _ Shells stating, whoa, it's raining in Portmore. Abigail stating, getting rain in Kingston, love it. Snowflakes, rain, Yalla St. Thomas. Casberry 28, it's finally raining in Satan's headquarters, Portmore. Rick Kesar, some rotted rain fall. Mona _ GH _ stating, finally got some in Kingston. Princess _ Shells, Portmore, finally. Joanne Matalan stating, finally get some in Manor Park. We also had another comment here from Finally _2Q stating, little rain sprinkle in Kingston. Yeah, finally, from I've been hearing, say rain will get little, which it could have stayed a little longer. We need the rain. Place was too hot. We had Bryony 836 stating, it's raining in Golden Grove St. Anne. Lorraine, finally, Red Hills Road showers. 8 then nap time. Sure you enjoyed that nap. We also had Marsha Diamond stating, it's raining in Manchester. Also, Georgia Williamson, nothing in my side of Portmore, sadly, but some areas in Portmore got it. And _Ryan stating, heavy rain in Hanover. And even if we take a look at the live camera from See Jamaica's YouTube channel from earlier today, this was about 10:57 a.m. we can see the rainfall that definitely took place across sections of Crossroads in St. Andrew. They were definitely getting that heavy downpour. You can barely even see the hills, if not the buildings right there. Definitely a blanket of white that represents moderate to heavy rainfall plaguing the area at that time, and we see that it definitely had some strong winds affecting the area as well. You can see those trees pushing in the wind. So I'm sure they all enjoy that rain. The corporate area definitely had some decent rainfall today. If we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we can see that we still had that cloud cover across the island, those high cold cloud tops as well, being pushed off towards the east by that upper level wind shear. And even while the sun was going down, we were still having those clouds coming in across the island, even some clouds bubbling to the south and to the north of the island as well. If we take a look at the latest infrared satellite images, let me reload these images so that I get the very latest. We can see that we definitely still have a lot of cloud cover across the island, some thunderstorm convection activity taking place to the south of the island, to the south of St. Catherine. So who knows, maybe they might get on some more rainfall tonight right there off the coast of Trelawney as well. What about the Doppler radar images from the Cuban radar site? What do we see? Alright, we actually see that rainfall right here across sections of the waters to the south of Clarendon and St. Catherine, and it's definitely pushing northward to affect sections of those parishes as we speak. You can also see that rain band that we just mentioned off the coast of Trelawney. St. James definitely gotten on some amount of rainfall, let's see, an hour ago. If they're not still getting that rainfall as we speak, you can also see some rainfall right there off the coast of northwestern Portland, as well as sections of St. Mary. Got those rain bands right there off to the south and east of St. Thomas. We might get on some more rainfall tonight, who knows. Either way, let's just watch and see what happens. If we take a look at the temperatures right now, we can see that we have 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, and we have 25 degrees Celsius in Kingston. And if we take a look at the temperatures for about 3 a.m. on Thursday, temperature should be dipping down to about 24 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 22 degrees Celsius in Kingston. As it relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we see Jamaica right here embedded in more grays than anything else, and we can see that by the key on the right, the grays are representative of the zero on the scale that represents average temperature. So we're indeed grateful that Jamaica is going to be getting on those average temperatures on Thursday. Keep in mind that this map from the GFS is showing 18th on Thursday, that's 1 p.m. on Thursday. And we can see by the average temperature bar graph right here, Jamaica usually receives up to 89 degrees Fahrenheit for its average temperature during the month of May. And if we actually take a look at the thermometer, 89 degrees Fahrenheit is about the same as 31 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere across the island 31 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Thursday. As it relates to the dry air map, we're indeed grateful that we're getting in on a lot of moist air, as you can see by these blues. Not to mention the cloud cover across the Jamaica area, majority of the Greater Antilles. We're definitely grateful. Majority of the Caribbean getting in on those yellows that represent the lowest end of the scale in terms of dry air. As we can see by the key on the bottom, the dry air is represented by the yellows, oranges, reds, the whites within those reds. And for majority of the Caribbean, including Jamaica, we're not getting in on that much of that dry air at all, and we're indeed grateful for that, because the past couple of months has been very dry across the Caribbean, including Jamaica, with a lot of reds and whites within those reds across the region. As it relates to the Saharan dust forecast now, for 2 p.m. on Thursday, we see that majority of the Caribbean, including Jamaica right here, should be in the clear, as all the browns that represent the Saharan dust should be across the waters of the main development region, especially right there closer to the coast of Africa, Dakar, where we see those darker shades of browns that represent that vigorous plume of dust that causes respiratory illnesses as well as hazy skies. If we take a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can tell both the Euro and the GFS are in consensus that we should be receiving what we see on the key right here, more so those lighter shades of blues to at least the 1 meter wave height. So 0.5 for meter wave height to 1 meter wave height, the lighter shades to the slightly dark shade of blues. And that's due to the fact that we're going to be receiving the winds coming in from the east for the most part, but they're not going to be that strong at all. We see more bluish greens, faint greens, so anywhere from, let's say, 5 to 10 knots, maybe even gusting to 15 knots in some spots, and that's basically it. We can also see the darker shades of blues. Where do we see them? Across sections of some northern and western parishes, so that could paint a picture of where we might get most of the afternoon rainfall on Thursday. All of that air piling up across the north coast, again bringing more thunderstorm activity to those spots. So definite sections of St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, maybe even sections of Westmoreland, northern St. Elizabeth, northern Manchester might be getting in on the action as well. We know what usually happens. The cumulus clouds become rain clouds up in the middle levels of the atmosphere, and then, if possible, they become cumulonimbus clouds that push off all of those high cold cloud tops off to whichever direction the wind shear is going. And we saw that happen today. The thunderstorm activity definitely across the island, especially the north coast, and the high cold cloud tops were pushing all of those high cold cloud tops. So the upper level wind shear was pushing all of those high cold cloud tops out towards the east. And the thing about tomorrow is that the wind shear is still going to be coming in from the west, as we can see here across the Caribbean, some strong upper level wind shear. So if there was ever to be a storm or something forming out of this system, it would have a hard time because of the very strong wind shear across the basin. And if we even take a look at the 1 hour totals in terms of rainfall, both of these maps from the Euro and the GFS are in consensus that there should still be some amount of rainfall lingering across the island, if not surrounding the island tonight. Both of these maps are actually showing 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. That's 8 p.m. Jamaica time. So we still have some rainfall lingering, just like what we saw on the latest infrared satellite images, just like what we saw on the latest Doppler radar images. We still have some rainfall lingering as we speak across sections of the island. Skipping ahead now to about 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, is actually 6 a.m. Jamaica time. What do we see? We see the blues represent rainfall dancing to the north and south of the island on both the Euro and the GFS modes. And let me just reiterate that with these troughs, they can be very unpredictable. We might wake up to see rain across section of the island if some of that rainfall meanders on land. We can also wake up to see sunny skies. That's the thing about these troughs, they can be very unpredictable. They can cause a lot of tremendous flooding, and they can mainly bring that rainfall across the island during the afternoon. So we just have to, remain vigilant, know that there's a trough in the area. The possibility of flash flooding is there because these troughs sometimes do as they please. You just have to take these forecasts with a grain of salt. Either way, both rainfall forecast maps for 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 3 p.m. Jamaica time, are in consensus that we're definitely going to be receiving some afternoon rainfall. GFS showing more of that rainfall across sections of some northern parishes and western parishes in Jamaica. Keep in mind again that this is 3 p.m. Jamaica time. What does the Euro show? Euro is a bit different, actually showing more rainfall across sections of most areas in general, but we see the consensus that definitely northern Jamaica is going to be in for that rainfall, especially right there we see those darker blues across sections of Portland. We'll see exactly what unfolds tomorrow. Either way, we can't rule out an isolated flash flooding event taking place in some spots, especially with rainfall totals like these from the Euro. Some purples in there across the northeast that represent what, up to 3 inches of rainfall. We'll see exactly what unfolds with that. Either way, we see the reds that represent up to 1 inch of rainfall, as we can see by the key on the right. So we might definitely get in on some amount of heavy rainfall. Keep in mind that both of these maps from the Euro and the GFS are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Thursday. Not saying that it's going to be raining from now all the way up until then, but these are the areas that are going to be picking up the most rainfall. As usual, the Euro is a bit more robust than the GFS. GFS showing the most in the rainfall across northern Jamaica, and it makes sense with what we just saw. Up to 1 inch of rainfall, 1.05 being predicted across sections of Trelawney. And we're indeed grateful. We just entered the month of May. We know it is our secondary rainy season. We usually receive up to 213 millimeters of rainfall during this month. So we'll take all the rainfall that we can get to put some kind of a dent in the drought that some areas are currently experiencing. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we have the clouds associated with the trough still bringing some amount of overcast skies, showers and thunderstorms to sections of Jamaica, eastern Cuba, section of Haiti, Dominican Republic getting in on the action, southern Bahamas, section of the Turks and Caicos Islands getting in on some of that rainfall as we speak. We can also see some isolated shower activity coming into sections of the Windward Islands, so maybe sections of Barbados, section of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. If they're not already getting that rainfall, it's coming within the next 24 hours. We see, as usual, that rainfall across sections of French Guiana, Suriname, Guyana, section of Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, and Costa Rica. It's nothing new. These areas are very much used to it. As it relates to the Doppler radar images, as usual, we know the Doppler radar shows the actual rainfall as opposed to satellite images that show the cloud cover. And we know that we can have cloud cover over an area, not necessarily rainfall. We can clearly see that the latest Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean are showing that heavy rainfall to the northeast of the Dominican Republic. Some isolated pockets of rainfall right there across southern Puerto Rico, the north of Puerto Rico as well as some isolated pockets of rainfall off to the east of Martinique, Dominica, Guadeloupe. Some of that rainfall affecting sections of Antigua and Barbuda as we speak, even sections of St. Kitts and Nevis getting in on the action. If we take a look at the Barbados radar, we don't see much happening across Barbados right now, but we do see that rainfall off to the south and to the east and to the north of Barbados, definitely pushing towards the west for the most part. Some of that rainfall could definitely plague section of Tobago tonight. Not seeing what's happening that well on the Trinidad side, but definitely Tobago might get in on some of that. Taking a look at the weather view of Doppler radar images, we can see that rainfall across section of Cuba, the southern portion of Cuba right there, section of the western portions of Florida, and we can also see that rainfall that we just mentioned across sections of Colombia, as well as sections of Suriname and French Guyana. As it relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we see that for the most part, we have more of those yellows anywhere from the central to the eastern Caribbean that represent above normal temperatures, maybe even up to 3 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. We see the more orange and reds across the mainland US, as well as South America and Central America. So those areas are going to be picking up on the most in the way of above normal temperatures, while it's the Greater Antilles, that area, especially into the Western Caribbean, where we see Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and the Bahamas. That's the area that's going to be picking up the average temperatures as represented by the grays, and I'm sure those areas are going to be very much grateful for the average temperatures. Taking a look at the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Thursday, we see that majority of the Caribbean should be in the clear, as all the browns that represent the Saharan dust should be across the waters of the main development region, especially that area closer to Africa where we have those darker shades of browns that we know cause the very hazy skies and possibly trigger some asthmatic conditions in some persons. As it relates to the wave forecast for tomorrow, we see that majority of the Caribbean is showing the lighter shades of blues to the darker shades of blues, especially across the eastern to the central Caribbean where we see those darker shades of blues. As we can see by the key on the bottom, the darker shades of blues represent 1.5 meter wave height, while the lighter shades of blues across the western Caribbean represent the 0.5 of a meter wave height. So all of this has to do with the winds as we know it. So clearly we're going to be having the stronger winds across the central to the eastern Caribbean, as we can see by both the Euro and GFS forecast. We know the stronger winds are represented by the brighter shades of greens, and we see that the winds for the most part should be coming in from the east southeast, and we see the bluish greens right here across the central Caribbean that represent the not so strong winds, up to at least 5 to 10, maybe even 15 knot winds, while we have the winds curving to the northwest across the Gulf of Mexico, and we also see the brighter shades of greens, not to mention some yellows in there that represent anywhere from 15 to 20 to even 25 knots. As it relates to the rainfall forecast now, this is the meat of the matter. This is why we're here. We're having a look, and we see that we're definitely going to be in for some more rainfall plaguing sections of the Greater Antilles. So the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, Eastern Cuba, Jamaica, definitely going to be getting in on that. Section of Haiti, the Dominican Republic, the Northeastern Caribbean. So the US and British Virgin Islands, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Martin, section of Guadeloupe, Dominica, going down Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and the Grenadine, section of Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago. We're definitely going to be in for some amount of rainfall, especially with the rain band that we saw coming in from the east. They're definitely going to be plagued with some amount of rainfall tonight into tomorrow. Even looking southward, we can also see that rainfall going to be affecting sections of eastern Guyana, section of Suriname, French Guyana, southern and northwestern Venezuela, sections of Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica getting in on the action. And we also see that rainfall for sections of El Salvador and southern Guatemala. And we know that when both maps are in consensus like this, both maps talking about the Euro and the GFS. So we see the Euro here, we see the GFS here. If we even scroll down a bit, we'll see the consensus. We definitely see the consensus is what both of these maps are showing. and we know that when they're in consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.